The Silence and the Fury launches tomorrow, and it's time to go over the last video leading up to the release, the Beastmen Rework Guide. The Beastmen Rework is massive too, as it should be. They were probably the least enjoyable campaign next to Warriors of Chaos and have now rocketed up to a very enjoyable campaign with highly flavorful mechanics around each lord. Now, in the typical fashion of upfronting knowledge in my video, I'm going to go over all the changes that are coming to the Beastmen. These will also act as the chapters within the video, allowing you to jump to any portion of the video that you like to find out more information about each of these changes. So the list of changes are Marks of Ruination, which act as progress points within the campaign, allowing you to recruit more units. And on that note, there is no longer an upkeep or recruitment cost for the Beastmen, very similar to the Tomb Kings, so units are relegated solely to unit caps. The new resource, Dread, which allows you to increase unit caps, also allows you to buy other legendary lords, items, and other substantial campaign upgrades. Herdstones can be risen, which can be risen at newly raised settlements and create a blood ground. This blood ground serves to give you points towards the Rite of Ruin, which rewards Marks of Ruination. This rite then locks the raised settlements within the blood ground, so they can be settled until they can't be settled until the Herdstone is destroyed. And I'll give a detailed breakout of that. That was just a quick little summary of it. Bestial Rage now acts as an increasing source of growth. The buildings have been reworked and tooled around, as well as what units come from what and what tiers. So you might be getting units at a different tier now and from different buildings. The new Dark Moon phase gives you only positive buffs, and each one is very substantial. And then lastly, each legendary lord has new traits and attributes, making them even more flavorful. You know, like Malagor being able to fly. But in closing, this is all FLC and will be attached to the update that will be launching tomorrow along with the DLC. So you don't need the new Lord Pack to play this. If you do intend on picking up the new Lord Pack, you can use the link in my description to my Nexus Store, which will grant you a Steam key directly from the developer, and it's a great way to support the channel. But let's get started on the in-depth breakdown of the Beastmen Rework. So to start off, we're just going to talk very quickly about the buildings because it's a very quick portion of this video. To start off with the main settlement building, this has been reworked. So previously, to get each level of this, you needed 1, 2, 4, and 5 growth. Now you need 1, 3, 5, and 7 because it is much easier to access growth via the Bestial Rage over here on your left, so much easier to get access to. In addition, the very first tier of the main settlement gives you Ungor Raiders, Ungor Spearman Herds, and then Chaos Warhounds, which is a very nice improvement. So consequently now with the first barracks quote-unquote building, you'll get access to the shielded versions of your Ungors, the shielded and non-shielded version of your Gors, then Bestigors, and your new Morghur hero. Now, that has been changed a little bit too from what it was previously, because of course that's how you would get your Ungors. Prior to this, you'd have to build this building. Now, you do have a new building here for Head on Spikes. This is going to be giving you a perpetual dread gain as you progress up to 1, 3, and then tier 5. That is going to give you also Cacophonous Assault, which we'll talk about in a little bit when we talk about those additional buildings. Going over here into the basic military recruitment, though, you can see that the Harpy building and the Warhound, I'm sorry, not the Warhound building. The Warhound, Harpy, and Spawn building has all been put into one kind of overall quote-unquote creatures building, with the Den that's going to give you access to your Warhounds, your Harpies, and your Razorgore Herd, progressing to Pits of Horror, giving you Manticores, Chaos Spawn, and then lastly Jabber Slices all the way at tier 5. A new building here. Now, the other thing too is that they've combined the Chariots and the Centaurs, which were previously a tiers 3, 4, and 5 set of buildings, to just a tier 2 and 3 building, giving you your Centaur variants, your Tuskgore Chariot, and then your Centaur throwing axes, and lastly your Razorgore Chariot. Also too, they've done away with the advanced military tab. We now get the Fire Pit, which gives us our Minotaurs and our Gore Bull, as well as the other 2 Minotaur variants at tier 5 or 4, and then the tier 3 Giant Slayer up to tier 5 with our Gorgon and Cygor being a part of that. So a very nice little change there. Also, we get these new buildings here in support. The top tier 5 one will give us Shatterstone, which will destroy walls. You have Cacophonous Assault, which here if we look at this one, you can see when attacking, applies temporary penalties to the enemy army's leadership and melee defense at the start of battle. This will also be quite nice as it stacks up here to also give remove enemy charge defense attributes for the duration, which is great. Now, you also can see Mound of Blades, which will give you Touched by the Moon, and then the other one here will give you an additional charge of it. Basically, it supercharges one of your units, and then when its time runs out, they'll die. And then lastly, we get Desecrated Altar, which gives you Vile Entropy, which is a really nice damaged ability against an enemy. Just kind of nukes it down very quickly. But these are the new buildings and the rework for it all with the Beastmen. So next up, I want to talk about Herdstones and the Marks of Ruination. So the Herdstones are erected in any location that is freshly raised by you. You get it as one of the post-battle options to raise a Herdstone. Now, you can see up here, Herdstone shards are what you're going to need to raise those Herdstones. And each progression up this scale on the right, these Marks of Ruination, will reward you with a Herdstone. In addition, you'll get more as you progress through these levels, these Ruination levels as they were. And Marks of Ruination will give you access to more units. So you start off here at level 1. That's going to give you access to your basic units, your Feral Manticore, your Razor Gore, and your Warhounds. But then up to level 2 is going to give you access to Centaurs, Gores, and 2 different types of chariots, Razor Gores and Tusk Gores. 3, 4, 5, 6. So you now no longer get units, you just get bonuses. Also increases your army capacity, horde building or construction reduction, unlocks Reward of Dread army capacity upgrade, so on and so forth, up to Ruination level 7. Now, in order to get these Marks of Ruination, you need to perform rituals. So once you've erected your Herdstone, it creates what's called Blood Ground. You can see this quite literally marked on the map in red. So pretty much every single region that attaches to the Herdstone region becomes marked with a Blood Ground. Now, for example, if I were to raise a Herdstone here, it would only give me these 2 regions in the Blood Ground. And you can see there's a number above these regions. And those numbers, as you raise them, which I've done here, 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 and here previously, they will add that number to this total right here. This is the current amount of devastation, as it's called. Once devastation here reaches 10, right now it's at 30, the Ritual of Ruin can be performed to convert all gained devastation into Marks of Ruination. More devastation leads to more Marks of Ruination. And what you can do then is perform the Ritual of Ruin. When you perform this Ritual of Ruin, you again get those marks immediately added up to your pool, and every single location here becomes a desecrated land. So these locations, well, I'm sorry, this one is Skaven inhabited, so I apologize. This one and this one, as well as this one, cannot be reestablished, cannot be recolonized by another faction until they destroy your Herdstone. And the Herdstone gives you a number of other benefits as well. I'm going to get into that in just a second here. But the nice thing about this is you'll see this location. Before, they might go ahead and actually, hey, you know, they've resettled this before I was able to perform the ritual. Damn, that sucks. Well, no matter, because you can come through here and still destroy this location, and then it will be desecrated even if you destroy it after the fact. Now, let's take a look over here at the Herdstone. So the Herdstone is glorious. It is cool. We've talked about this in my proposed Beastmen Rework, and I'm so stoked to see them in the game. But we'll click Building Browser here, and you can see that the Herdstone kind of acts as a local recruitment font, giving you the ability to get additional units in your horde without progressing through that horde's necessary military recruitment. This is huge. It unlocks the ability to make you to allow a brand new army to get high tier units if you're at a later stage in the game. It's quite nice. In addition, you also get 4 support buildings, and these support buildings will do stuff like campaign movement reduction for enemies, a small chance for an outbreak of plague, which you probably saw a second ago, vigor loss for units that are not Warriors of Chaos, Beastmen, or Norska. You've got this one, which increases ammo for your units, and increases the reload time for enemy towers. Their missile damage is reduced. Their siege holdout time not siege holdout time. Their siege towers that you build is increased. So this one's really going to help if you're dealing with a lot of hard points you need to crack open. Dreadful Shamanic Rituals is going to help with Winds of Magic, provides line of sight over all regions in Bloodground, and Dread Gain increased faction-wide. So you can make multiple of these. In addition to the last one here, gives you Casualty Replenishment, Horde Recruitment Capacity, and Chaos Corruption. Also, these things do give additional Garrison, which is nice. Now, Herdstones can be... not arisen. I guess you can erect a herdstone in capitals, and that would be different if you do it in specific racial capitals. Like if you do it, say, over here in Nagorond, you'll get specific faction bonuses for doing it here. But if you say do it in Clarkarend, you're not necessarily going to get a bonus. It seems to be certain locations, and there's no actual map contextual clue that tells that. From what I've been able to glean from myself and other people that have been doing this, it seems to be the kind of racial mainlands here, like Nagorond over here, Eatane over there. So I'm very curious to see what all of them are in a list, but it's a little too early for me to have done that just yet. But the Herdstones can then be upgraded too, which we'll talk about when we go into Dread. But let's go ahead and perform this ritual real quick to show off how this ritual works. Well, this will tell you, hey, we're going to perform this ritual. And remember, we have got just 0 marks of rumination. This is going to give us 30. So boom, we've done this. It's given us 30 marks of rumination. And now we are at tier 2, and we can recruit all these units. Now let's jump into Dread to talk a little bit more about how you can increase these unit capacities and everything like that. So Dread is the new resource that is being added with the Beastmen Rework. You can see it up here at 976, and you get it from a number of sources. His Rampage, enemy units killed in battle, buildings constructed that will give you bonuses per turn, like the Dread Spikes that we saw, raised settlements, missions in advance, so on and so forth. So plenty of ways to get Dread. So next turn I'm going to get an additional 120. And then this Dread can be used to increase your unit caps. So like I said before, there is no longer an upkeep or recruitment cost for all the units in the Beastmen roster. You simply recruit them, they're in your party, good to go. But you are capped on them. So let's take a look here. I might be able to still do it on Tarox. Yeah. So you can see, just like the Tomb King's UI, I have a unit capacity now for my Ungor Spearmen. Let's go ahead and click over to Rewards of Dread. Let's just click this button. Boom, there we go. And you might even get to a Dread Moon phase, which enables you to have a reduction in cost on the Dread required to upgrade some of these unit costs. So you can see that went from 2, doubled up to 4. So this is not a level, this is just telling you what the current cap will be. So this is going to be 2, I press the button, it'll increase by more. Gore Herds with shields, let's just press this button to show you. It says 2 right now, because that's the current cap. Well, now it's at 4. So just to give you an idea of how that works with the capacity. Now you also can recruit the other legendary lords here from the other Beastmen legendary lords, duh. And what you can also do is use this to increase the capacity for your heroes, Wargors, Gorbulls, and Bray Shaman. This is not the ability to recruit them. I'm just saying this will give you the ability to increase their capacity. Also, you have a lot of really great upgrades, this one especially. So you can go through the respective Herdstone upgrades, which will make it so that when you erect a new Herdstone, it now jumps out immediately at level 5. And it enables you to increase your Herdstone capacity, the Herdstone level of your current Herdstones, depending upon the rank you have unlocked. And I believe it's at 3, you unlock an additional building slot, and then at 5, you get the last building slot. It might be 4, I can't remember off the top of my head. But still, you need these building upgrades, and they're really, really huge. In addition to, you can go through this line from 750 to 1000 to 1500, where it says new Horde armies are raised with Horde encampment building at level 2, which is great, with the Den and Scorched Grass Plains buildings already constructed. That's the building, your generic creature building, and then your Centaur building that also has your chariots on it. So a great little addition. Army capacity is increased by 1 right here, but you also need to reach Ruination level 8 to unlock this upgrade. You can also do this one to increase your recruitment rank of lords and heroes to rank 15. And this can get pretty disgusting. You can stack this with Tarox's Rampage to get an additional 5 recruitment rank on a specific type of hero you want to use. So a lot of really great abilities. If you want to see Tarox's mechanics, I've linked that in the upper right corner. All of his mechanics are in that portion. Then lastly, your dread can be used. I'm sorry, this is actually not dread. This is all of your favor, which is your gold, as it were. You can use this to buy items. Dread is not used here. And you can see I've got enough to buy all of the items right now. Well, it's saying I can buy them one at a time. It's not saying you can buy them all with the money you've got. It gives you an idea of how many you can buy or what you can buy. Like, okay, I can have 6 unit caps are available to me because I've got the dread to buy them. So this now gives you a good breakout of how dread works. Let's jump into another mechanic. Now, another new mechanic is the Dark Moon. So I'm going to go ahead and hover over here. And you can see every single portion of the Dark Moon phase, whether it's waxing or waning, will give us additional bonuses. So right now it's income from post-battle loot, gives us plus 20%. Turns until full moon is 1. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the next turn, and we're going to see the bonuses that we get from doing the Dark Moon phase event, full moon action, and also some bonuses attached to it. So here is a sample of some of them. Even though the description says that there's still like a little bit of penalty, you know, the herd can replace their fallen with ferocious alacrity, yet the latecomers are more reluctant to fight. There's no more penalties. Boom, casualty replenishment rate plus 50%. There's another one that gives it a full replenishment and turns remaining 2, so this will last for 2 turns. Ruinous incentive, bestial rage plus 7. The cost of skill, dread cost reduction for upgrading the capacity of harpies and feral manticores for Razorgore chariots and Tuskgore chariots. Then no matter how far, campaign movement range plus 40%. Now I believe if you try to stack up the same one over and over, there is like a diminishing return where it will start to reduce. I think it's on a cooldown of some sort, but either way, these will cycle. There are different intensities of each one of these, and there's also different ones that are not in this list right now, like one that increases weapon strength and melee attack by a significant amount too. I think it's like weapon strength 30% and melee attack like 10 or 15. So you have a lot of really great benefits. Let's just choose this just for the sake of the video. Let's hover over this. So this is a lunar eclipse, and what this does now, it says ruination from rituals of ruin is 20%. You get a bonus here. So right now, if I were to, let's say, take Tarox, do I have anything close by? Looks like I kind of don't. I don't. But if I were to say, do a ritual or hold a ritual until now, I would get a 20% bonus from that. So it really kind of makes it so that the Dark Moon phase, while yeah, you can line up the benefits it's going to give you, the boons, you can also line up stuff like starting your rituals of ruin with that Dark Moon phase. Or hey, you know, I'm getting a huge income from post-battle loot. I'm going to wait to take that major capital city until the lunar eclipse to get as much benefit from it as possible. I really like the new Dark Moon phase because it doesn't hinder you like it did in the previous iteration of the Beastmen campaign mechanics. Now, one thing I did forget to talk about in the opening portion is the new research tree, Challenges of the Dark Gods. And this is nice because it kind of gives you an objective as you progress through the campaign. Now, each one of these is gated by some form of objective, like win 5 ambush battles. I'm currently at 2. Win 5 siege battles, currently at 1. Days of Wrath, currently at 1, need to do 2 rituals of ruin. But there's other stuff here, like, okay, win battles against enemies of 4 different cultures, or summon 10 units in battle. This is going to give you an additional casts of Transformation of Khadon or Savage Dominion. Or Primal Fury here, which kill or wound 5 faction leaders, and it then allows you to upgrade Primal Fury across your entire faction, which is very strong. Gives you immune to psychology. So a lot of really great objectives here, and I think that this new research tree is a nice way to really kind of focus the campaign in certain directions that you want to achieve. Now we're going to really quickly go over the new Legendary Lord faction effects and traits, starting with the Big Daddy himself, Khazrak the One-Eye. Now he has Scourge of the Drakvald. This is going to reduce the dread cost for all unit capacity upgrades by 15%, evasion chance when using the Beast Pass by 15%, and then ambush success chance by 15%. Now let's look at the actual trait here, One-Eye. Reduced bestial rage penalties and detection chance when in hidden encampment stance, meaning that of course when he jumps into a hidden encampment, this Bestial Rage is not going to suffer so much of a penalty as it would from the other legendary lords. Let's just go ahead and pop into that. It says well hidden camp instead. And so it says -2. I believe the standard Bestial Rage reduction is 2 or 3. I can't remember off the top of my head, but still, he has a better hidden encampment. Also, Vanguard deployment for Bestigor units, which is great. Attribute Vanguard deployment for Razorgore unit or Chariot units as well, and then it enables poison attack for all Ungor units. So a very nice little change of pace here. Bestial Cunning as well. Underhoof, which can give the reinforcement range, which is very deadly. Like that is really nice. It allows you to really stack up your armies very well to get some really punishing 1-2 combos in. Horde of the Drakvault is going to help with melee attack, charge bonus, and missile strength for your Ungor, Gore, and Bestigor units, as well as the Ungor Raiders. Houndmaster is going to help out with Warhounds, Razorgores, and Harpies. Manslayer is going to give you that magic item drop chance, post-battle chance of stealing magic items, and then Fear and Terror when fighting against men. Lovely. Then Feral Fervor, which is going to give stock for Gores, Bestigors, Warhounds, Razorgores, and Harpies, as well as a Vigor Loss reduction, and then Strider. So a lot of really great mechanics here now coming with Khazrak One Eye. I think he's a fun character. He also gets Manbane here, which goes to Crown of Horns, weapon strength for the entire army. Then Rune of the True Beast, which gives slug skin and missile resistance for the entire army. Now, again, I think that Khazrak is a great character, but I think that the next two we're going to talk about definitely get a lot more interesting mechanics because some of them are just juicy. Next up here is Morghur the Shadowgave, and he has some cool mechanics really geared towards Chaos Spawn. So for one, he has a unit capacity increase on them of 4, casualty punishment rate of 8%, Chaos Corruption +3, and then Horde building construction cost reduction by 15%, which is quite nice for all armies too, not just him. Also has that Shadowgave ability. Raiding Stance is upgraded to Despoiler Raiding Stance, which spreads corruption and attrition. Let's take a look at that real quick. Here you go. Armies in the raided region will suffer attrition, local enemy armies, income generated, bestial rage, growth reduction in the raided province, immune to attrition, vigor and battle winded, and then chaos corruption +8 for the local region. So really ramping up that chaos corruption there and that attrition. Also passive ability, Aura of Vile Transmutation, which we'll take a look at in a second here. Magic resistance of 20%, immune to Athelorn and Awakened Forest attrition, especially because of his starting location. Morghur will always remain wounded for no more than 1 turn, which is also awesome. Chaos Corruption +5. So let's look at this new Aura of Vile Transmutation, which is basically a Mortis Engine effect as long as he is within 40 meters of a target. It's not like a map-wide one. So just a juicy little ability. It's going to be doing constant damage to your combatants. Now, as well as his skills, he gets some other fun stuff. So Ardor of Fury is going to give Primal Fury, which is very nice. Melee attack, charge bonus, speed, and then you're immune to psychology, of course. For this, in the entire army here, which is the key thing. So especially Chaos Spawn, they're going to be the ones that are going to benefit from this the most. Abstraction of Tzeentch upgrades Aura of Madness ability for Jabberslythe units with increased damage over time. Passive ability, Horrible Regeneration for Chaos Spawn units, which is great. But the big thing here with the Horrible Regeneration is it's not just a normal regen. It will also resurrect dead models in a unit, which is great too, right? Resurrect dead combatants, heals injured before resurrecting. Then the melee defense for Centaurs, Chaos Spawn, and Jabberslythe, as well as their weapon strength. And again, Greater Aura of Madness is just more of a Mortis Engine effect. So lots of Mortis Engine effects with Shadowgave. Force for Change is going to give attrition, 33% of casualties suffered from Despoiler raiding attrition. Income from raiding +20%. Herald of Corruption, campaign movement range +15%, and Chaos Corruption in adjacent provinces +3. Profane Blessings. Now these blessing ancillaries are very nice. So I think it just shows, yeah. So there's 3 that you can get from here. And these 3 are the Blessing of Filth, which is going to grant physical resistance, horrible regeneration, and a reduction in speed of 30%. Blessing of Mania, which is going to give a charge and a speed increase of 20% and 45% respectively, but it also gives a Rampage. And then Blessing of Trickery gives Sundering as well as stock and unspottable. So very, very fun little blessings that he can use as banners to put on units. Very awesome. Lastly here, Touch of Corruption enables Touch of Corruption contact effect. Ooh. Okay. And then we also have Ban Bane and Crown of Horns, and then Rune of True Beast and Slugskin, just as we always had, but just to quickly go over those nonetheless. So I definitely find Shadowgate to be really awesome here this time around. Has a lot of really cool abilities, especially bolstering things that are not just simply your Beastman units, which maybe you'd want to do in Khazrak or Minotaurs and Taroks. But let's go into Malagor here to close our video out. Here we are now with Malagor, the final lord to talk about, the Crow Father. So his faction effects here are Dread cost minus 50% for all hero capacity upgrades, campaign movement range plus 10%, and then hero equipment rank for Bray Shamans and Great Bray Shamans plus 5. Now let's take a look also at his individual trait, Crow Father, which is going to give him a movement range of plus 50% when using Beast Path, so he can move quite quick. Also, enemy leadership minus 8 for local armies, enemy casualty replenishment rate minus 100% for local armies as well, and then cause fear for harpies. Very nice in that bottom tier 1 unit that you can have a little bit more harassment with. Now look at these new spells for Malagor, and it's great. So he gets Flock of Doom, Enfeebling Foe, Penumbral Pendulum, Doom and Darkness, Mantle of Gork, Savage Dominion, and then Greater Arcane Conduit, which is great. And also, you can see his lore attributes: Bestial Surge, Wild Heart, Life Searching. I'm like, aren't we all searching for the meaning to life? But Life Leeching, Smoke and Mirrors, and then Doom of Mankind here. We're reducing that Winds of Magic for all spells, or the cost for all spells by 20%. Now his individual line is also pretty spicy too. Something Wicked This Way Comes, which is going to give him ability. Something Wicked This Way Comes is a Lord ability, which will reduce leadership and remove Immune to Psychology when you upgrade it all the way here. That is spicy, especially in the starting location that he is. He's around a lot of Immune to Psych units that are north and northeast of him, or directly east too, so he has that nice ability here. Unholy Power gives you Winds of Magic power reserve and starting amount. Crow Father is going to give a bonus to your Harpies, speed, and missile resistance. Portents of Doom is going to reduce public order and then attribute cause terror. Nightmarish Cabal is going to increase your Winds of Magic cost. Reduce your Winds of Magic cost by 1 for all spells. Your action cost to 25% and an action success for Bray Shaman by 10%. Lastly, you get Mantle of Crows. It's an unending flock of doom. It's great. It's awesome. It's spicy. I love it. So you spend the points into here, you get a unending flock of doom in a 40-meter radius around Malagor the Dark Omen. And of course he can now fly. So I think Malagor really benefits the most from this. He gets so many cool abilities in this rework, and I absolutely think you'll have the most fun with Malagor if you're playing any of the older legendary lords and not Taroks to begin with. But that concludes our Beastmen rework here. We've gone over everything. The Ruination, the Dread, the Research Tree. We've talked about Herdstones and the Blood Grounds. We've looked at the new Lord traits now. We've talked a little bit about Bestial Rage and how that adds to your growth bonuses. The new building rework, the Dark Moon, and how now you no longer spend any money to upkeep or recruit Beastmen. They are locked behind that recruitment capacity. So hopefully you guys really enjoy the Beastmen rework as much as I have been. I can be totally honest with you, this was not a campaign I ever wanted to play, and now I actually really enjoy them almost as much. Who am I kidding? Not almost as much as the High Elves, they're just that much cooler than me. But still, it's a very fun campaign. I encourage everyone to try out any one of the Beastmen Lords to have some fun. But as always, guys, thank you so much for watching here today. Go ahead and let me know in the comment section below if you have any other questions. You're about to dive in tomorrow, so have some fun with the Silence and the Fury and the FLC, including, of course, this Beastmen and the Dwarf rework. But as always, have a good one and take care.